Well, I'm glad you're sticking with us. And we're now into the second month of the revival content. This month, we're going to focus mostly on the first Great Awakening with Jonathan Edwards. And what I have found so inspiring about this is as I do the research, I'm seeing themes and patterns of how these revivals started. And yes, it takes God. God is the only one that can make a revival happen. But when I look at who was involved with the preaching at the time and what were these people like and what was their education and were they charismatic or flamboyant, it gives me great hope that we, me, you, that we can be the people that we are. We just have to be bold and courageous. That's why we spent the first 4 months learning about bold and courageous. We need to be bold and courageous. We need to know the truth, be willing to speak the truth. From that, people are convicted by the truth, and then we have conviction and revival. There's this pattern that we're seeing over and over with it. So this month, we're going to focus on the first Great Awakening. Another thing that I found interesting from this was how quickly people in America needed a revival. Because if you think about the pilgrims that had decided somehow, for some reason, they decided life was difficult or life was hard or life wasn't the way they wanted it to be there in Europe. And they decided, let's go to a new place and start a new land based on Christianity. So something happened that they were willing to risk their life for, not just their life, but their children's lives, their families' lives. Some of these people were coming over pregnant or with very young children, and the trip was months at sea, sometimes in terrible weather. A lot of people died. They made sacrifices to come here because they wanted to have a Christian nation. And that zealous, that passion, that fire burning within them to live a life for God, something happened quickly when they got here. And we see the Great Awakening happening in the 1700s because people had turned away from God. They had put the Bible on the bookshelf and they started focusing on money and how they could live a better life. And it's really quite comparable to where we are today. So I think there's so much hope in this, that we see these patterns over and over again. We saw it with Nineveh, where it was a nation with hardened hearts. They were evil. There was sin. There was immorality. There was idolatry. We saw that with Nineveh. They had the greatest revival ever. And now we're going to focus on the Great Awakening, the first Great Awakening in the United States. So I hope you watch the lecture. It is a little bit long this time, but there's just so much packed into it that I want you to know. Also do the additional resources, because in that we're going to listen to what's supposed to be the most famous sermon ever preached, which was also part of the Great Awakening. So there's so much packed into this month. I can't wait for you to participate with it all. And then we'll have a conversation about it to find out how is God working in your life. I cannot wait to see what God is doing through all of this, and more importantly, through you. Have a great day.